How are you today, Nicole?
I'm doing well. How about yourself, Tanya?
Good. Thanks for joining us today.
You're welcome. Thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely. There's a few people coming in. I'm not seeing who. I can't see the names popping up yet. That's maybe just me not seeing them, but I'm seeing the numbers going up. So we have some coming in. I'm sorry I can't address you by name. I'm not seeing that part of it popping up here. But I would like to introduce Nicole McWhorter, who is a metabolic dietitian. And she's consulting on a clinical trial called Synpheny, which is a potential new treatment for an option for those living with PKU. And Nicole is here to tell us more about it today. Just a reminder that the ground rules for our discussion, we ask that you refrain from sharing any personal health information in the chat or during our Q&A. We're going to address a lot of questions here, but we don't need to know specifics about you and your maybe your Phe levels or your numbers and proteins. We'll just stick to the other information. So can you tell me a little bit more about yourself and your role while we're waiting for some people to join in, Nicole?
Absolutely. Thank you again for inviting me. I'm so glad to be with the Canadian PKU community today. I actually grew up in Maine, so very close to Canada. I grew up in a town that was very French Canadian from some settlements in Canada that came down to Maine a long time ago. So Canada is near and dear to my heart. And I'm so glad to be with you today to discuss Synpheny, which is an ongoing clinical trial sponsored by Synlogic. A little bit about myself. I've been a metabolic dietitian for a little over 11 years, based in the United States. I've been working with the PKU community throughout that time. So I'm very familiar with the restrictions and difficulties of living with PKU. I've had many patients, done PKU camps for kids, really have enjoyed being part of the community. And today I'm working with this company, Synlogic, in helping them understand and manage the nutritional needs of the PKU communities during the clinical trials. So thank you again for having me today to talk about this clinical trial.
But we're very excited to hear about it. So it's wonderful that you're here. So tell me a little bit more about the clinical trial in general.
So first of all, a clinical trial is designed to study potential new therapies or new medications. It's an investigational drug. So it's not approved by either in the US, the FDA, or in Canada, Canada Health. So it's the only way that we have to bring forth new therapies and new drugs. It's trialing out drugs to see how safe and effective they are. And the clinical trial today that I'm discussing is Synpheny, and it's researching a probiotic medicine. So they've taken a bacteria and they've genetically engineered it to bind to phenylalanine. And so it binds to that Phe in the gut that you ingest. And the Phe gets bound by the probiotic and passed through the body instead of going into the blood. The hope that as they do this, it can help manage the blood levels of patients that are living with PKU.
That's incredible. Thank you. When is this clinical trial happening?
So we're recruiting for phase 2 right now. In clinical trials, there's 3 different phases before it can be approved as a prescribed medication. There's phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. We've already completed phase 1, which is usually an inpatient phase. Now we're doing phase 2 to really see how effective the drug is. And then after that phase is completed, we'll go into phase 3. So right now we really need more patients in our phase 2 clinical trial.
So if someone's thinking, hey, I'm kind of interested in this, but I don't want to waste my chances maybe being in phase 2, I'd rather be in phase 3. Do they have the opportunity to do both phases?
Absolutely. You can be in every phase of the drug, even better if you can, then you're familiar with the medicine and you're familiar with the study in general and with the study staff. Really as much time and effort you can dedicate to being in clinical trials of all sorts helps to further research and treatment options for patients with PKU. So absolutely all clinical trials, all phases are you can be eligible to be in our study.
That's great. Where is the study being held?
So currently we don't have open sites in Canada, hopefully for phase 3, but we can still have our Canadian PKU patients be involved. There's a few different options that our Canadian PKU patients can be involved with. If they'd like to be on drug the whole time in the US, they can fly to a center in Salt Lake City, Utah. That's an inpatient facility, and they can stay there for the whole study. Other options are we have 9 different centers throughout the country in the US that they could fly to for just their blood draws. And they can do the rest of the study at home if that would work out for patients. Of course, all travel and expenses would be compensated, as well as for their time in traveling. We do have several centers that are on the upper side of the United States that would be very close and easy to Canada and our Canadian citizens to hop down to the US to a clinic. Probably just as easy as, honestly, some of our patients in the US that are traveling from a much further state away to come to a clinic. So definitely options for our Canadian patients. To find out more about specific locations and what would work for you, there you can always go to the website www.pkuresearchstudy.com. Again, it's pkuresearchstudy.com, and that is you can put in your contact information and someone can contact you personally to figure out what would be the best option for you and your schedule.
That's great. I've heard some information out there about maybe being virtually available in the States to do this clinical trial. Is that an option for Canadians because of the travel commitments? Would virtual be a possibility?
Currently for the phase 2, we don't have contracts with home health nurses to do the blood draws at home. And so unfortunately, they'd have to go to the US for a blood draw. Now, I've been told that you don't necessarily have to go to a clinic, you just have to be in the US, and you could do a virtual visit in the US, but it has to be in the US for right now. Hopefully phase 3, we can have some sites in Canada and have some other things set up for Canadians. But still, they can come with their travel expenses paid for to the US to do any of those visits.
Great, thank you. I have one more question, but I do see your question, Amanda and Marianne. I'm going to ask it right after my next one because I think they might tie in a little bit. Some people have needle phobia. So some of the treatments out there are just not an option for people. Other people may have trouble swallowing pills. What does this treatment look like?
That's a great question. So this treatment is actually a packet of dry powder that you mix into a small volume of water and you take with your meals 3 times a day. It's nice and easy because you just mix it up into the water. It has a sort of slight minty taste to it right now in the current formulation. And so just a powder, water, and you down it.
So Marianne was saying when she first started the meeting, her volume was not working properly. So she's just asking for a quick recap on what the drug is since she had no volume at that time.
So Marianne, again, the drug is a probiotic, which is a bacteria, just like you've heard about other probiotics that help nourish your gut. This is a bacteria like that binds to phenylalanine that you ingest. So you eat food, the phenylalanine breaks down, the protein breaks down into the individual amino acids, and this bacteria binds to the Phe and you excrete it from your body instead of the Phe going into your blood. So that's how the drug works as a mechanism.
And Amanda's asking, is this similar to a large neutral amino acid or is it something different?
It's completely different. Large neutral amino acids are amino acids that are large, as the name is. The thought process between the large neutral amino acids is that they will go and be absorbed into your body, go through your blood, and go compete with the phenylalanine to go into your brain. And so the thought being that the large neutrals will block the Phe from going into the brain by them going into the brain instead. And so it's supposed to be a little bit protective brain wise. This has a completely different mechanism. It's a probiotic that binds to the Phe and excretes it from your body. And so it's not blocking anything, it's actually binding the Phe itself. And then your body eliminates the Phe instead of the Phe going into the blood.
Thanks for Amanda's answer there. Now, I know with some studies, you hear that one person gets the medication, the other person gets a placebo or a fake pill to kind of determine if the drug works. Is that happening in this trial?
No, it is not happening in this phase of the study. In this phase, everybody receives the treatment and everybody will be on the treatment for about 15 days.
I'm sure everyone's wondering, because I know it's on my brain too, does the drug work? Simple question there for me, but maybe not a simple answer.
So as a reminder, this is still an investigational drug. Part of being an investigational drug in a clinical trial is just to see how effective the drug works. We all want it to work very well. So I can't give you specific details because it's still under investigation, but what I can tell you is that promising data from the 2 earlier studies of a small group of people has led Synlogic to support its advancement to this stage. And we're very excited about the potential that we see in the drug.
Awesome. Marianne, I see your second question there, and I'm going to get to that. I promise I have that question on my list as well. What is the time, is there any side effects to the drug when you're on trial?
Good question. So like most probiotics, it works in the gut. And the most common side effect of this, as well as other probiotics, are GI related. So you have things such as gas, potentially some nausea, mild GI related side effects is what you might expect.
And what's the time commitment for the phase 2 trial participants?
So you are on drug for 15 days, but there's a few additional steps both before and after. And so the study starts with a screening visit, and the time from the screening visit until the end of the trial is approximately 2 to 3 months of time commitment. I know for the Canadians that would be flying to the US, you don't stay in the US that whole time. You'd come for the screening visit, and then you'd come twice during on drug for blood draws, and then once again at the end of the study.
And who would qualify for this? I have children with a child with PKU. Who's going to qualify for this stage?
So in phase 2 right now, we're only testing it in adults, so 18 and up. We're hoping in the future studies to include our pediatric patients as well. But right now it's just 18 years and older. Your Phe levels also just in this phase right now have to be over 600 micromoles per liter or 10 milligrams per deciliter. You have to discontinue use of Palynziq if you're taking Palynziq a month before if you'd like to be in this study. But if you're on Kuvan, you can continue to be on Kuvan during this clinical trial, and we can see what's the effects of this Synpheny probiotic in addition to Kuvan. So those are the baseline requirements. Again, if you are asking if you meet these baseline requirements, you can go to pkuresearchstudy.com and someone can contact you and discuss your condition and if you personally would qualify.
I just want to do a quick recap here at 15 minutes past. For those who may have joined in late, we are here with Nicole McWhorter chatting about a clinical trial currently enrolling participants for their trial. Again, you guys are doing great with but please a reminder to keep the ground rules of our discussion. We're asking you to refrain from sharing any of your personal health information in our chat or Q&A. There's a couple questions here. So Amanda's asking, what are the risks? Which again, I would lead back to side effects. Would you have anything else to add to what are the risks other than the side effects?
I don't think so. I think that would be the definition of risks is the side effects. And again, what they've shown in the early studies is some mild GI distress, which is typical with probiotics. You know, it takes a while for your system to get used to having a new bacteria in it. And so that's why it can give you a little grumbly tumbly for a few days. But again, early stages of the phase, but that's what we've seen so far for the side effects.
We're also getting asked, do you have to already be on a low feed diet? which I'm thinking no, if your numbers have to be over 600, but do you want to address that as well?
That's a great question. So part of a clinical trial is the biggest part of a clinical trial is to see how effective the drug is. And so we want to keep all the other variables very stable so we can see just the effect of the drug. So for your diet, we want you to follow whatever you're currently following so that it doesn't mask or increase the effect of the drug, increase the data. And so for instance, if you are currently eating a low protein diet and you're currently taking your prescribed formula, then great, go ahead and continue to do that in the study. If you're not, that's fine too. We're really just studying how does this drug work in you right now with where you are in your diet. It's very important during the clinical trial that you maintain your diet very stable. We don't want you to suddenly decide, oh, I want to be in a clinical trial, I want to get all healthy, let me go ahead and start my low protein diet, get back on diet. No, we want, if you're going to do that, great, just wait until you settle into your new routine and then you can enroll. Very important to keep things very stable during the clinical trial so we can see the effect that the drug has on you right now with your current diet.
So you just want them as they are, whatever their levels are, whatever their food tolerances are, keep that up.
Exactly.
Now, it's asked here, do you already have to be on a low-fat diet, which we've said no. 15 days does not seem like a long time. If it works, do you still need to eat a low-fat diet? Now, again, because this is yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, that goes back to the how effective the drug is question. And the answer is that, again, we've seen some really promising effects, but we've had only a few patients, and that's why we need more patients to see how effective the drug is. We can't really answer exactly how much your feed tolerance will increase on the drug until we get more patients. So that's why, PKUresearchstudy.com, come find out more information. We'd love to see how effective it is on you to see how much it would increase your total feed tolerance.
And a second question here is after the trial. So let's say it works, I'm assuming is where the question's leading. So it works, it allowed more Phe or it dropped the levels. After the trial, can they stay on the drug at this point?
In phase 2, no, you don't stay on drug. You're just on drug for that 15 days. I saw that question about it doesn't seem like a long time. And that's enough time for us to see how effective the drug is actually. I mean, with a probiotic, you don't have to, you titrate up for tolerability to make sure you don't have too many of those GI related side effects. But it's not like Palynziq where you have a big immune system reaction that you have to calm down to see if your body works with it. And so 15 days is plenty of time for us to see if it works for you and how well it works. And then after that 15 days, you discontinue drug and we see hopefully that your Phe levels go back up to where they were before. And that's again a marker of how effective the drug is. Now in phase 3, in the next phase of the study, and say you're in phase 2 and you say, oh, I really liked how I felt on that and I want to continue, you can enroll in phase 3. Phase 3 drug trials, you always stay in until the drug comes to market. So you would stay on drug if it worked well for you until it was available per prescription.
Awesome, thanks for that clarity. So let's just look at, so we're going to say, if I do qualify, what would I need to do to be involved in the study? Is there anything you haven't already covered on that you can add to?
What do you need to do to be involved in this study? So we talked about having to travel to the site. So you travel first to go there for a screening visit. You'd meet with the study team. You'd review your health information, your diet, give you information on the study. Then you'd continue your baseline diet that you're normally eating at home for a few days prior to starting drug. You'd be on drug again for those 15 days. And during that time, you'd get some 2 days worth of blood draws in each of those weeks. And then at the end of that, you get a blood draw and then you go back and you're off drug, but you maintain your regular normal diet again. And we take a blood draw again about 2 weeks after that, and then you're done.
So again, just going back to the drug a little bit, what volume of water would be required for the daily powder? How much are they drinking? Is the amount taken over 3 times a day, or is it just once?
So it's a new packet of powder that you'd mix with the water 3 different times a day. Now, the thought being you eat meals and you get Phe into your gut, and this probiotic works in the gut. So most effective to take it when you're eating so that it can bind together with the Phe. Um, I'd have to be honest, I don't remember exactly how many ounces of water. It's not a large volume. Again, pkuresearchstudy.com, somebody can contact you, and if you want a specific amount. I know it's not a large volume, it's a small volume of water that you mix with the powder with.
And Mary Ann's asking, at this time, it's just a powder. It's not in pill form, correct?
Correct, just a powder.
Now, we obviously in Canada, we have English and French, and we always want to make sure that we're trying to include everyone in the country with this. So our French-speaking Canadians are questioning, how can they learn more if they need it in the French language?
Mm-hmm. So they can also go to the PKU study, researchstudy.com, and they can be provided written materials in French. The sites are in the US, and we don't have expectations that the sites have to provide French-speaking individuals. So I can't guarantee that the sites would have French-speaking individuals, but we would try to accommodate the best we can.
Awesome. Jody's asking, can blood draws be done on weekends? So can they kind of schedule it to least impact people?
Mm-hmm. So I think certainly the study is happy to work with individuals on their schedules, and so that would be a very good question to go to the research website again, pkuresearchstudy.com, and they could answer your specific schedule questions based on what site you'd like to go to, or if you wanted to do a virtual visit in the United States to see if they could find helpers that could do the blood draws on a weekend. So certainly contact the study, and they can discuss with you your personal situation to see how they could work something out.
So I can take like a 15-day Salt Lake City vacation where I'm in-house all day, or have the site help me out with arrangements that work otherwise. I'm going back to Mary Ann's question from earlier. Are participants reimbursed for travel and other considerations? What can be expected for that?
Absolutely. All companies that do research, they know that this is a sacrifice of time and effort to further the therapies available for PKU patients. And so they definitely reimburse for travel, meals, any expenses that are incurred within doing the research study. And they also compensate for your time in being in the study.
Lynn is asking, do you have any expectations regarding the patient reactions to Palynziq? And Lynn, I'm going to guess is that's maybe the anaphylaxis that you're concerned about.
Mm-hmm. No, we are not concerned about anaphylaxis. Again, the side effects that we've seen are more mild GI related side effects.
Thank you. So you've said the website a couple times. Can you, again, just how can people learn more?
Mm-hmm. So that's the best way is you can go to the website, pkuresearchstudy.com, and you can enter in your contact information, and someone from Synlogic can get with you to discuss all your questions that you might have. They can help set you up with a site. They can figure out how to make your schedule work. They can answer any questions that you might have about the study. So really good, pkuresearchstudy.com to go to and enter in your contact info for someone to connect with you personally.
Awesome. And I'm just asking here, some of the people behind the scenes that are making this flow so wonderfully for us, if they could maybe type that website into the chat box so people can just maybe grab it from there, if that would make it easier. Nicole, I really want to thank you for, before I say goodbye, there's another question from Kelly. If a person has level under 600 and they are on diet, are they not eligible?
For this phase of the trial, all levels have to be over 600 or over 10 milligrams per deciliter.
Perfect. Thank you. So again, I really want to thank you for coming and chatting with us, and to Synlogics for making, like, taking the time to work with for the PKU community. It's well appreciated, and your time and efforts to join us today are fantastic. Thank you so much for that and bringing this information into our Canadians.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's really a pleasure to be here and talk about the study and talk about different research therapies for our PKU patients. So thank you for the invitation.
I hope we answered all your questions, guys. Have a great night.